masculinity is coming back, and there's a bigger contrast between more masculine men and, the more feminine ones, in which that's a good and bad thing because it's a lot more normalized, and, the culture is somewhat back after having to deal with a good period of, you know, an absence of that. But the problem is it's having a good amount of men stray away from what's actually truthful, what's actually right. Because, I mean, yes, most people do need a wake up call, right? But a lot of the masculine figures out there that are on social media make it seem like things are so dire to the point where, certain guys out there don't know how to take it, and they are extremely hard on themselves. Yes, a lot of guys out there need a reality check. They've lived a life where it's been too easy. You've gotten away with being a lesser version of your potential. And, a lot of people need to hear that. They need to actually start working hard instead of making excuses that reassure that, they're not meant for more, right? But it starts with believing in yourself. And you can't do that if you continue to bash yourself for your, discrepancies, your failures, right? For literally 90% of my life, I have been this way. And it's only been in these past few years that I've actually been able to truly, live in a way where I do believe in the things that I do, right? I I have faith in myself, not only myself, but in God, that I'm continuously pursuing a path where I am getting better and living a life that was meant for me. All I truly want from my future is to have a family, right? To be capable, to be strong, to be able to provide, be able to have an organized life in the image of, how I want it and how God wants it for me. And, just be in a place where I'm 100% confident in myself and I can take care of the people around me, right? That's what I aim for. And you can't ever get to that stage or be confident in yourself if you are excessively hard on yourself, right? And that's exactly how I was. Every single time I would stutter or have an awkward conversation, I would just be like, damn, like, why would you say that? Or you should have said this, you should have said that, and overthink about what I should have done for a past experience, which, was literally pointless. Being that hard on yourself is absolutely pointless. Yes, your life is shit. You're in bad shape. You don't have much money. You can't talk to people. You don't have anything really going for yourself, and you don't have the confidence to go out and do it. But look, right? Bashing yourself about it all of the time, if that's the only thing that you do, that doesn't get you moving forward at all. If anything, it makes you worse. Other times that this would happen is also just by seeing, the people around me, the people my age, the people online that were around my age and my status, right? Being so much farther ahead in life, right? Having the money I want, having the car I want, the girl that I want, having, the physique that I want, whatever truly is important to me. Like, I'm seeing them on social media, or I'm seeing them in real life and hearing about it and thinking that they have it so much better than me, right? And it only made me, you know, become even harder on myself, saying like, what are you doing with your life, bro? Like, why are you doing this and that? You should be doing, something to actually move you forward right now, instead of going out with your family, right? I mean, it's true that most people stay stuck in doing things that eventually get them nowhere. But things like family time or hanging out with your friends are experiences that you will never get back. And you have to understand that there is a time and place for you to actually start improving yourself and pursuing that personal development. But, you know, there's a time and place for when you can actually experience life as well. The main point is the littlest things would make me talk down on myself, and that only kept me down, right? This was so destructive to my self-respect, and I couldn't get anywhere with, starting to pursue my goals if I didn't feel like I was worth it internally. And this only led me to, whenever I would get mistreated, right, letting people say these things and treat me wrong because, like, in reality, I actually agreed with them, right? I thought I didn't deserve to stand up for myself, and this only led to a life that I didn't want to live at all. Prior friends would talk down on me, and I would just accept it. I had to start realizing that you aren't the bad guy for standing up for yourself, right? You need to have that self-respect, put your foot down and be like, yo, you can't talk to me this way. You can't do this to me. And I had to start realizing that nobody's perfect. No matter how good their circumstances look, there's always a huge mountain of problems that comes with that, right? And everybody makes their own mistakes. It's just, you can't be the one to think that you're special in a way and have this arrogance like, man, it's just so much worse for me. It's so bad for me, right? I'm just that terrible. I can't do anything. That's just a victim mindset, right? And you're playing the victim when there is truly people who are out there that's definitely worse than you, and they probably don't even see it at all, right? There's probably an idiot out there who is an idiot, but has more confidence than you in a sense, right? So you can't be so hard on yourself when you know this, right? You have to realize that nobody's perfect, and focusing so much on your discrepancies and that worse version of yourself is only going to strengthen that part of yourself. It only allows it to grow. The only way that you can truly change and elevate is if you start capitalizing on the good attributes that you have. Everybody has blessings that they have to give. Everybody has a gift. Everybody has a level of value. And if you don't have some, either it's you neglecting that part of yourself, or it's too small for people to see, so you have to start building it, right? You're a man. You have to go out, learn, try things, continue to put in the reps day after day, no matter what your mind is telling you, no matter what people are telling you, no matter your circumstances of where you're starting off. You have to continue to try to continuously pursue that better version and have some fruits to bear, have fruits of your labor to be able to give to everybody else, and for you to, indulge in as well. But the more frequent you are hard on yourself, the harder it is to move forward. You can't actually think about moving forward if you are too occupied and fixated so much on your discrepancies and the things that you are failing in. If you continue to be like, I'm so bad at this. I can't do this. Like, man, why am I like this? And you keep like talking about it and just, being in this hole, you'll never climb out because you're not focused on the things that will help you climb out, right? You'll stay a disservice to yourself and other people. And you know that this is true because you're on this video. You try to learn. You try to look at, motivational videos, yet it only makes you farther from your goals because you're thinking in the wrong ways, right? You shouldn't think so deeply about your imperfections when, there's so many other things that you should occupy your mind with, which is the steps that it takes for you to get out of those holes. If you think I'm a good communicator now, honestly, I think I'm far from being a good communicator. But in contrast to me, I'd say 2 years ago, right, I wouldn't ever be able to articulate myself in this manner at all. I would stutter. Actually, I would prefer not to talk because I thought I was being nonchalant, and I didn't really speak much, but it's in reality because I couldn't speak at all, right? So having conversations with people was extremely hard for me and one of the biggest things for me. But every single time I would, have a conversation at the start, it would be awkward, and that only scared me from going into other conversations, right? And I would just tell myself, man, why are you saying stuff like that? Like I can't believe you stuttered. And that feeling of embarrassment was so painful to me that it just scared me from trying out other things. But do you notice how that's such a disservice to yourself, right? Whenever you have a bad experience, you don't perform as well as you thought you should have, right? With this prior standard for yourself that nobody has put on you. You can't ever expect to get better if you keep being scared of failure, right? The only way that you can level up is by reaching failure, right? Because at that point, the only way you can go is up. That's why you have to continue to try with imperfect action for you to actually have data to get better, right? Nobody gets it right the first time unless they actually are the 1% and they, studied and analyzed and was able to learn from others. Nobody has got it the first try. The most successful people, billionaires, millionaires, people who are in the best shape of their lives have failed more than most people tried. So knowing that you haven't failed enough, you haven't tried, you haven't failed enough for you to actually, move forward, to actually get better. Failure is always a learning lesson if you allow it to be. If not, then you've just failed. Every single time I would have an awkward conversation, the only thing I got out of it is how embarrassing I felt. But I should have looked at it as data that I can use to get better for the next time and actually go out and pursue it, right? That's the positivity that I could have gotten out of that. But I was being a disservice to myself by saying, I'm so bad at talking. Like, why would I do that now? They're going to think I'm a weirdo and stuff. Like, this is selfish. You're being selfish in a way. Leave that sort of talk to the people who actually have authority and can tell you in the way that you need to hear it. I'm not telling you this because I hate you. I'm not telling you this because I think I'm better or anything like that, right? I'm the exact same as you and I used to be in your position, but I'm telling you because of how much you're missing out on and how much you can actually change if you were to allow that to happen, right? I want all of you guys to truly get better with your lives. And I know that you can't do that if you continue to, capitalize on your failures and the things that make you bad. That only grows it in your mind, and that only makes it so that, you reinforce it with the actions that you do. The only way that you can actually change is by continuously growing the things that make you better, right? The good things about you. I was never actually able to see that I had a creative mind until a year ago when I started speaking on social media, and I was able to create videos in a way that was unique to the algorithm, right? And this made me stand out, right? I've had this creativity. I was able to see videos in my head and actually edit and make it come into fruition. But I would have never had that if I never found the positive things about me, right? Those positive attributes, and sharpened them for them to get better. I would have never got the physique that I've always dreamed about 4 years ago if I always was so fixated on how skinny I was, how I had a fast metabolism, and how much harder it was for me to get stronger in the gym and lift heavier weights compared to all of my classmates, all of my friends around me, how easy it was for them because they started off heavier with higher body fat, taller, and all these things, right? If I continue to be hard on myself of like, oh man, why are you so weak? Why are you so this, that? And to the point where it truly destroyed my character and allowed people to see me that way as well, and I just allow that, then I would have never actually moved forward. I would have never continued to pick up the weights with that ambition that I could do it. And I would have never been able to get to where I am now. To wrap this video up, understand that if you want to break out of this cycle, you need to shift your mindset, and you do that with action. You can't do that just by snapping your finger and just thinking a different way. That's somewhat delusional, right? I wish you can do that. I wish that that's all that it takes. But I know full well that that's not what it takes. It takes continuously pursuing it with relentless, imperfect action. Having intention behind your action and going out and trying to get better. The way that you live, as a man thinketh, so is he. If you understand that, then your mind is such a powerful weapon, and used in the wrong way, you will hinder yourself. You will make sure that you're down if that's all you think you are. You'll make sure that you're a small thing if that's all you think that you are. But with actions that show that you're a bigger person than you actually are, that show that you have more value to give to the people around you, more value to actually add to your life, and you can pursue a life that you want to live, then you'll start having that for yourself. You'll have that if you do the things that are in congruence to that. But without that, you'll stay stuck in the cycle. I love all you guys. I hope you actually change. I hope if any of you resonated with this video, if you resonated with who I was, and you want to actually change, message me on IG and we'll talk. If you're even going to do that, I hope that it's a real ass DM, right? I want to hear all of those things, right? Your struggles, what you're currently doing to try to get better, what you've been having to deal with, right? Like, be real with me, because I go out my way to be real with you guys so that you guys have some level of concept on what I mean when I say these things, and it's just not empty words, because this was truly my life, right? There's no better way that I can explain it other than that. So yeah.